Ready? Okay. It's been a long weekend. Thank you for coming. So, first announcement, that in the program it says this discussion will be in German, but some of our participants don't speak German, and the rest of us don't speak Croatian or Czech, so we're going to compromise and speak in English. But for the discussion, you're most welcome to ask questions or phrase your comments in German. So that's the first announcement. Second announcement, Margarethe Maierhofer-Lischka, who organized this discussion, who prepared everything, is unfortunately sick. She couldn't make it today. So we're going to improvise here. So I've taken over doing the introduction. My name is Aileen. I'm from Servus.at in Linz. If you don't know Servus, if you know Servus TV, forget it. Nothing to do with us. We were here first. I think at some point they offered us a lot of money for our domain name. No. We're not going to give it to them. Servus.at also provides internet infrastructure for the local art community. We're an art server since the 1990s in Linz, and we're still here, just like mur.at. So this discussion today is one station along a series of long discussions, which actually started about 3 years ago in Linz, and then was more recently reactivated when Maggie reached out to us at Servus to ask about how we could collaborate better together, rather than us doing our thing in Linz, mur.at struggling to get along in Graz. How can we help each other out? So this is a discussion that has been ongoing for quite some time now in multiple different threads through various channels. So we're going to try to bring some of these threads together today and hopefully open it up a little bit more to see who else might be interested in this. So we'll start with introductions. Would you like to start?
Sure. And I'm going to pick up on what you said before, that this is not the first time we discuss, not even publicly. So I read my introduction that I gave a couple of years ago in Linz. My name is Jogi. I'm one of the founders at mur.at, founded in 1996, 1997, an organization that does hosting. mur.at started as a networking project. In the 90s, networking was not a given. mur.at provided access to the internet for artistic purposes. Currently, mur.at turned into a member-based data center, mostly for people from Graz, but also for people from all over the world.
Okay. So I'm the missing link in the introduction. My profile was not filled. Željko Blače. I come originally from what used to be Yugoslavia, Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia. But I've been involved with network culture also from 90s and was involved in founding Multimedia Institute in Zagreb, which was one of the first cultural non-profit servers, hosts. And currently I'm a Wikimedian in residence with mur.at, and we are strategizing how to make use of Wikimedia to capture some of the communal knowledge and history towards the anniversary of, how do you say it? Anniversary of mur.at? Yeah, okay.
Hi, my name is Michal. I'm currently sysadmin at Servus in Linz. I started working in Linz in, maybe it's dropping out. I started working in Servus in November, so it's several months only. but I participated in a festival Servus is organizing every 2 years, which is called Art Meets Radical Openness. As an artist and curator of this festival, David knew that I run also a similar server in Prague. I'm from Czech Republic, Prague, called node9.org. And I experiment also in like running data center in like environmental condition in forest and in with solar energy. And Node9 came also after 2000 from this online activism culture. There was several artists who were looking for like streaming solution. There were no streaming services this time, like 2003, and we put together our websites and started a server, and yeah, it's running until now, but it's in comparison for mur.at or Servus, very small one. It's just several people.
I'd like to say a little bit about where Servus comes from, what our background is. Servus is located in the Stadtwerkstatt in Linz. If you're familiar with Linz, you've probably been to the Stadtwerkstatt. It's an alternative venue for concerts, gatherings, okay, nodding, yes, good, which was started in the late 80s. So what's now glorified as the great time of Linz when things started to blossom. So at that time in the Stadtwerkstatt, it was always a place where people were experimenting with different media. There were very early experiments with radio, with television, really crazy experiments with television and broadcasting. So when the internet first started becoming a thing, it was very obvious that this would belong in the Stadtwerkstatt and people would start playing with it and figuring it out and trying to find out how it works. So all of these things have meanwhile grown and become very established. So the radio experiments have become Radio Froh, our community radio. The television experiments have become Dorf TV, community television, and the internet experiments have become Servus. So all of these things kind of belong together. At that time, the Art University, or the College of Industrial Design, as it was known at the time, was very small, very informal. A lot of people who were studying didn't bother going to classes. They were busy building things like Stadtwerkstatt and Kapo and Posthof and all these things that have now been established. And so there has always been a strong coherence in Linz, in the freie Szene, the alternative art scene. You may know, Graz is the second largest city in Austria, Linz is the third. We're not far behind you, just a little bit. Someone once remarked, an artist in Linz once remarked, in Vienna, people are divided up into all these different disciplines and different groups, but in Linz, we don't have enough people to divide up into disciplines. So Linz is without discipline to begin with. And this is something that has, so this was the background for Servus. We all knew each other. We were all working together. Everybody is connected somehow in Linz. And what we're looking at now, the point of this discussion, as Maggie proposed it, this is our history, but what is our future? Because that was 30 years ago, and a lot of things have changed since then. The Art University in Linz has expanded enormously. It's now internationally known. We have a lot of international students coming in who are there for maybe half a year or 7 years or different periods of time, and doing things outside, but also the university has changed. All these art students today are under so much more pressure than the art students 30 years ago. They don't have the choice of whether they go to a class or go and build up an alternative venue. So this is a big, big change. Also, I think a lot of students come internationally because of the association with Ars Electronica. So the Department of Interface Cultures is closely connected with Ars Electronica, which is a very different direction. I mean, geographically, locally, we are right next to each other. We are literally in the shadow, or rather, the shine of Ars Electronica when the lights are on at night. But it's a very different direction that we take. So from the beginning, it was obvious that cultural institutions, organizations in Linz would have an email address and a website with servos, like Kapo, Stadtwerkstatt, also Mais, an autonomous self-organization of and for migrant women, was one of our first association members. In the meantime, however, with this change of time, there's also been a change of generations. So we have people working in the Kapo today who have an email address from servos that is older than they are. So we're dealing with a very different situation. And that was one of the things that we were talking about before. How do we deal with this change of generation? How do we communicate? What is servos about? I mean, there are people who have a servos address and just never questioned it. What is it? Why do we have that? And I've done, for example, workshops with Mais, with the younger generation that has now taken over there as well, to explain what is servos? Why is it important that Mais is hosted by servos? And that made perfect sense to them. I mean, these are feminist, politically militant activists, migrant women in Upper Austria, who said, yes, that does make perfect sense. They said, we're all fighting the same battle, just from different perspectives. So we need to join together to fight better together. So that makes sense. But that's one of my main responsibilities as a member of the board of Servos, is talking with our members, and especially the younger members, and making sure, do you understand what Servos is? Servos is not Google. We're not a commercial provider. We don't have customers. We have members. And this is a big difference. And it's also a difference in what we want people to understand about what they can expect from us. Do you want to go on with next generation?
This works. You just reminded me of when you said what these servers can do together. One of the first events where I actually thought of art servers as a network of support infrastructures for art field was Art Servers Unlimited, which was organized by Manu Lukš and Armin Medoš. And it was a super inspirational event. I didn't even know how many people work in this field. I met them in London and we had these amazing discussions. And it felt like things are coming together in this art field that was so fixed on museums, galleries, libraries. We seem to be the new type of cultural institutions, cultural infrastructures that is emerging, that is waiting for recognition. Like everyone knew about net art being the next art form, like and web streaming becoming the new follow-up to TV and broadcasting and blah, blah, blah. But somehow we kind of didn't surpass that point. 3 years later, in 2001, I organized one of the bigger events, Art Servers Unlimited 2, which was even more aspirational. We had 50 people coming to Istria, Labin for a week of discussions. How do we scale up? How do we get recognition? There was September 11th in between, so all the conversation also moved a little bit to what was happening in New York. But coming from a background of Eastern European self-organizing and this network of media labs that were left from the former Soros Open Institute experiments in new art infrastructures, we were also looking like how we can cross-pollinate ideas, how we can grow together. And I think we were naive that just because we are doing good, that we are hosting emails for free, helping artists with making first websites, publishing their CD-ROMs, that this will be enough. Like 10 years later, we just saw so many artists switching to the flashy commercial industrial side of hosting, losing sense of self-ownership, autonomy. Anonymity was not even an issue for artists. It was just basically convenience. And yeah, 15 years later, my own organization gave up on hosting. We reduced our hosting only to temporary experiments because we lost so many people to industry. We lost this momentum of having enough system admins, knowledge of system administration and setting up networks. That was too expensive for us to promise that our email will function, that our web servers will function, that our streams will work. So yeah, it's a little bit shame to admit this, but we had to cancel all of these things. I felt really bad about this. I tried to compensate personally by switching to work on Wikimedia, open knowledge platforms, and try to bring visibility through open knowledge. But as, for example, last time I was in Graz, we discussed like even Servus and mur.at don't have Wikipedia page, although they are such a prominent, important cultural organizations, have served for such a long time, they don't have it. The only one actually that has is the Thing in New York that started in like 89 as BBS system and somehow survived until now. And of course, being in New York helps if you have continuity of 30 years and more. But the fact that this field never reached sustainability, never reached the point of recognition, it's super problematic today when we have to go back to, we should go back to self-autonomous, self-hosting, and then taking the power back from commercial services.
Yeah, we are not startups like driven by numbers, like to have more and more users and more profit, and buy new servers and build more and more infrastructure. We are maybe more focused on like human dimension and research and development. Yeah, the situation in 90s with new media or online activism was the artists become kind of developers. Yeah, we were talking about media curator Keiko Sei, who like in 98 came to me and told me, hey, come, I will introduce you this guy who made a web page where you can write something and it stays there, and anybody can write something and express themselves, and it stays there on the web page, and you can read it. And now it sounds ridiculous, but this was the time when the web pages were written in HTML, in text editor, and they were mostly static. Yeah, and nowadays it was the business of online services was like invented actually by artists. And I think we are now in a similar situation with this big tech problem and these digital rights, and how do we secure like against manipulation and surveillance, and actually keep our digital lives online safe. Is also a question for us and for artists, and to connect this somehow meaningfully. Yeah.
I want to go back a little to demonstrate something. mur.at had a history quite similar to servus.at. We founded at around the same time. One thing that was important and was a key thing for us was we want to give internet access to art institutions, like all these houses like Forum Stadtpark, ESC, back then Werkstatt Graz, I don't know, they wanted internet access, and internet access back then meant you had a 33K modem. That was it, and there was no way to do anything productive on it, let alone think about hooking a server up to this line. It was impossible. And we stepped in and said, okay, we do something similar to this company network in Vienna, ATNet and Silver Server. We rent lines from Telekom Austria and use broadband. Now it's gone, now it's here. Use broadband modems to connect people. At the peak, around 2003, 4, 5, I don't know exactly, we had 17 locations all across Graz connected to the internet via our own infrastructure and running through Aconet, which is like the university service provider. We reached basically like the technological limit of copper wires that we could rent cheaply, and that was really cheap. I mean, it was like €10 a month or something like that. So we ran into this limit of 5 megabits per second, something like that, and then the lines were not powerful enough anymore for the needs of the people. Then from, let's say, like 2005, 6, 7 on, and it was also that Telekom realized that it's a lot more profitable to sell a service like internet access and not infrastructure like a copper cable. So they started to make it really difficult for us to run these services. Okay, then we couldn't go on anymore with this, but it didn't really matter because people found other ways to connect to the internet. It was okay, so we could adapt to the situation and focused on running all the other services that people needed and expanded services there. So I think we managed to stay flexible somehow, and that also means more or less not constantly, but every once in a while try to think about what are you doing, and this is something that we're doing at the moment quite intensely actually, and together, because yeah, we think about how to go on with self-hosted services that are not only like mine or yours, but are something for a larger community. And also, like, mur.at community is not defined by solely artists and art projects. It meanwhile goes way beyond that. So there's lots of social projects and political projects and I don't know what. Yeah,
that's something that I've found myself explaining a number of times to people. On our website, it's announced we're an art and cultural server. What we don't announce very loudly is we also have a lot of political projects. So we're a safe place for political projects, leftist political projects, also queer projects that get censored by commercial media. I think one of the most important things that we have to explain to people, that we want our members to understand, is that it's not this big anonymous corporation running the services. At Servus, we are very, very fortunate. At the moment, we have a complete operative team of 5 people. So we have Michal, Vincenz and Didi, the sysadmins. We have Davida, who's the general manager. We have Amelia, the administrative assistants who takes care of everything. This is 5 people, very badly paid with part-time positions. So, these are the people running it. Behind these 5 people, we are, thank you. We are 8 people on the board. 6 people on the board previously worked at Servos. 2 of us come from a different background in self-hosting. So, my favorite signal group is Servos Tech Emergency. If something goes down, everybody jumps on it, and former sysadmins remember where the machines are and who has a key to get in and fix things. So this is important for people to understand that we are people running these services together with our members. I was just reminded of the time, so I think before we can go on, we will continue talking among ourselves and between Servos and mur.at.
I thought you mean now.
Not right now. Don't worry, not now. This is going to go on continuously, but I would like to open this up now for questions or comments that any of you may have. Yeah?
Just talk and we will rephrase it for the come here. That's also a possibility.
So you said about convenience for the people using services. I'm thinking of, so a couple of days ago I read you can choose from up to 3, I think, companies, Google, Meta, Apple, to get, or you need email account, blah, 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 yeah. I think it is convenient to have the possibility to look in with one account for the video platform, the pictures, the sound, and email. Do you have such a thing, or have such a thing in mind?
Okay, you're asking a question about single sign-on, and I'm going to give the microphone to Michal. Be careful. This can go on for a really long time.
I would start a bit different thing. In 2010, there was a lecture on the University of New York where Eben Moglen talked about the architecture of disaster. That he said basically that, and this lecture led to the development of open source software for social media, Diaspora, and later for Fediverse. And he said that something is bad, like all the servers are all powerful and decide everything for you in these big tech corporations. And people are getting less and less power with devices which are for one purpose, very limited interface just to do what they can monetize. And yeah, there is a lot of open source software which is freely developed, which we can use, and all this Linuxtage is about, and it's amazing. And we are trying to integrate it into, Servus is running a lot of services, maybe mur.at, to like separately, like you run Mastodon as Fediverse server, maybe PeerTube I run, or Nextcloud, and you have different logins and things like that. It's kind of resilient this way that if something breaks, the second thing doesn't break. Yeah, but I started to develop SSO and authentication between those services, which you can use one login and go to another service, and you just click sign me in, and you are in with the same account, and actually you can authenticate your identity to a lot of services. It depends on support of OIDC in open source software, but it is becoming widely adopted. So yeah, we have this activity on making it more seamless experience between all of this open source software.
There is a lot of interest in that, and so this is ongoing development, and yeah, anybody who's interested, we'd like to hear from you. So Other comments, questions? No?
I wanted to say something else too. Not only comment. This one. Sorry. We also, or like I personally now would like to invite you to engage in mur.at, for example. Does anybody have a mur.at account of the people that I don't know personally? Well, I know you personally. And maybe become part of the community, especially an active part of the community. I'm currently serving as president of mur.at, and I want to retire because I feel I'm too old. 15 minutes left. Wow, that's a lot of time. I'm too old for this position. Younger people should step in, and also take up a responsibility in the project, which is something that can be rewarding. And after a while, it's so much reward that you have to go. No, but really, like engage and become part of a different kind of community, because one thing that I was asked all the time across, like, or over the past like almost 20 years already, is, hey, but everything you offer at mur.at, I can buy somewhere else, and I can buy it really cheaply. And I say, yeah, of course you can. You can even get, I mean, you think it's a free account at one of the big providers, but you pay with your data. That's obvious right now, I think. You can get all that and not pay any money at all, or not pay a lot of money. But what you can't get is you can't become part of an association that owns the infrastructure. And that's a big difference. Because like mur.at and all the others are not-for-profit associations. So if we do any major decisions, like we say, okay, we have to stop offering services, whatever, we cannot do that without our members. So it will become part of a process that says, okay, what are we going to do with the data? We help you migrating, for example, or all that kind of stuff. You will not have the situation that one day you get a letter and that says, hey, your account has been terminated because we're out of business. That's, I think, one of the really big differences compared to companies. So, yeah. Oh, there's somebody who wants to say something.
We actually discussed what could be questions that we ask you as audience, if we have a chance. And one of them is, if any one of you has experience in hosting services for others, providing, like, okay, if any of you did it in like less than professional way, like just as a support to a friend or a community. Okay, I think many people who are now going through trainings in IT are like self-taught or trained in very specific technical aspects of support, but they are totally not aware what are their like options when they look for jobs, and they think the corporate field is the only option. And they totally underestimate that they can have less toxic environment if they go for less commercial enterprises, and maybe even kind of nice communal feeling if they work in a place that works through solidarity and kind of mutual empowerment. And this is what's not being taught at the technical university most of the time. And it's a kind of a crisis that we have to face on many different levels. Like, you can go through elementary and secondary school, at least in Croatia, I don't know how it is in Austria, without ever knowing anything about civil society. Like, you learn about institutions from the state, you learn about corporations, what they've done, what individuals have done, but you almost never learn about civil society. You learn there is UN, maybe, because of, I don't know, UN's higher power to kind of connect the world, but that's it. And this is hugely important. We were discussing how, for example, the pressure of 100% uptime is super stressy for many people, and there is no such pressure. Like, none of these services are even claiming to be 100% uptime, though they try to be as much as possible. And one of the examples was this feminist server manifesto that has like written into their manifest code that they are not providing that kind of service. So maybe that's something to have spark your interest. I'm definitely suggesting to all of my friends in 50s who are in IT and experiencing burnouts, cannot catch up with the young folks and changing technology and totally want to leave it, to maybe not leave the field entirely, but start shifting into less toxic part of the IT.
You talked a lot about how you all started 25 years ago with your projects, and you also, thank you. You also how everybody flew to big corporations instead to small collectives or stuff like this. But I have the feeling that the institutions like mur.at and selbstorganisierter didn't really adapt to the new circumstances. I mean, there are now completely different needs of the people. They're not. People may not need emails, they need social media, or they need, they don't need own websites, they need ways to communicate with others without being bound to corporations. And how are you thinking to consider these needs in your organizations?
The only mic.
Yes, that is something that we are trying to work on. It's trying to understand what people actually need to communicate. So we do have a Mastodon instance at Servos. We've been working on setting up a discourse forum for members. We attempt to have our regular meetings in person once a month, third Wednesday of every month. To meet with people and to ask. And also we are making very much of an effort to go out and meet with the people, meet with our members, meet with the people who are working in Linz, and to talk with them and ask them about what they need. And my experience, for my background coming from Eclectic Tech Carnival, we are also seeing a lot of interest now among the younger generation in the old technologies that we've always been using. So Eclectic Tech Carnival, we never moved away from IRC and mailing lists, and now suddenly people are interested again in how that worked. So yeah, you're right, there are a lot of changes and we need to take that into consideration. We're running out of time. Yeah, can I just add to what Jogi said? I am retired, and that's why I have time now to devote to Servos, and I love it. And it's really great to be part of a community like that. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, this is a very good question, and yeah, we are sometimes people who do this long time, and also the software which we implemented years before, we run still the same way, and yeah, these admins and maybe a bit underpaid people say, oh, why would we do it a different way? We don't want to be like corporation, and it becomes a bit old school or outdated how we do it. But yeah, for this previous question, we have social media like Mastodon, and I run on 9 different software, which is Hubzilla and Streams, and it all communicates with ActivityPub. And it's not only social media server, but PeerTube is also supporting this protocol. Discourse is also supporting this protocol. WordPress for websites is also supporting this. So we can do even what corporations cannot do, because corporations are walled gardens, and you cannot send messages from YouTube to Facebook and to other services which are owned by someone else, because they want to keep you on their service. But ActivityPub works like connecting websites and everything on this protocol, and you can read, you can see videos someone publishes on PeerTube in your stream. You can read articles on some WordPress website in your stream on Mastodon, and we connect this, actually open source social media, connect this across like everything what is possible to run.
So,
well, I was just actually going to add a little bit to what you said, because you talk about,
Civil society.
Civil society not being taken seriously enough in education. Working in IT, I see another a little bit more technical problem, because people are literally being trained right now only to be able to use GCP and Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services. And I find it pretty enraging, because a lot of people that are coming fresh from university and getting into the Arbeitswelt, into their working life, they are being taught to just be able to do just enough work, so they can be given orders by their superiors to use the GCP.
yeah.
So I find it very enraging, as I said, because there is absolutely no independence whatsoever in basically computing. You have a degree in computer science, but everything you can do, it's platform specific and domain specific. So this is also a technical problem, I think, in my opinion.
It's a technical...
Not only from the operating side, but also many people aren't really aware that websites can exist, even though they are not owned by a company. Like I used to run a social media kind of thingy, which was open source, and only us two people were working on it and hosting it, and people thought we were a proper company. No, we weren't.
It's really, there's a kind of like illiteracy which is pervasive right now, because people are so used and accustomed to the practical stuff that they just do. They just give the big players the whole power to do.
It's a technical problem. It's also a political problem. The Austrian government will fund courses to teach people to be obedient users. But that's not what we want to do. And
that starts from schools.
Yeah. Just to close, because it's been a long weekend and we're all ready to stop. We do have some publications. We published this book, Artists Running Data Centers, with interviews from a lot of people, from the founders of servos, people using servos, all of our different experiences. It's online as a PDF. We have a few copies to make that we can share here. Book of Servos. We have also been working on documenting all of our services. So we have a few of these brochures you're welcome to take with you. So you can see what we offer, and our aim is to get our members to be able to help one another, to create a pool of knowledge that people can help one another and not just call a helpline somewhere that we don't have. And also, yeah, you're welcome to take one of these cards and get in touch with us. As I said, we'll be in closer contact with mur.at, and we are very interested in expanding these networks of independent hosters. So that's our time. Anyone have any closing words, or shall we just say thank you for coming? Thank you, and we hope to hear from you.